the gym. Old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Nah, the kicker's probably taller. In a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah, try it sometime.
I may be retired, but I still have finances to manage. With direct deposit and automatic payments, ICCU makes it easy to spend less time banking and more time baking.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, greetings, Boise State fans, and welcome to another edition of Bronco Nation News Live. We are on the road today at the Capitol 11 building. Fabulous new building opened up in March, and we are pumped to be here. We are in the Pro Image Pod, but wait till you get a look at the inside of this building here. This is their Boise State Shrine. They've got all kinds of autographed helmets and memorabilia and jerseys, and if you're a Boise State fan, this is a dream for someone like you. You can see all the signatures when folks come and visit, and Mr. Gardner, Mr. Hawkes even got their own jerseys presented to them by Coach Rice. You can see them right there. But Mike Prater, I think I found the area that you might be hanging out in. You go in the next room. They got the Capitol 11 jersey there. The indoor golf simulator, Mike Prater.
All the indoor golf simulator. Now you finally have me hooked. All that Boise State gear, give me the golf simulator. But I'll throw on a Boise State hat or maybe a Boise State golf bag.
Awesome spot, and we're happy to be here. And we bring you in again to the Pro Image Pod. We're going to have a lot of fun here, guys. Fingers crossed the mics work today. You can pick that up, by the way, Matt. We got Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. We got Travis Hawkes with Capitol 11 and Pro Image Sports, the blue and orange store. And, of course, Mike Prater with Bronco Nation News, KTIK 95.3 The Ticket. Travis, appreciate you having us out here, man.
You know, I'm really excited that we're doing the show here. I was able to come on last year with Matt to do kind of a preview about the basketball season, and everyone said it was the best show of the year. So a lot of people have been upset that it took a year for me to be back, but I'm excited to be on again today.
And I know you guys have become friends, and you're both big supporters of Boise State athletics and, boosters of the program. But, Matt, what do you make of Mr. Hawkes here and the palace that he's built?
It's the nicest, and I've been in a lot of offices. It's the nicest office building I've ever been in the Treasure Valley. I mean, the golf simulator was the icing on the cake, the hidden room through the shrine, but awesome first-class building.
we're happy to be here. We appreciate it. I know, Travis, you got a lot of different companies that are here, but you got all the Boise State hats and things, and you're one of the, we're talking a lot of NIL and things, and you guys made some history with the NIL deals that you guys did with the hats with Taylor Green and Ashton Genty.
Yeah, and we have a lot of those hats on display here, but that was fun. We brought Taylor and Ashton in, and they designed a bunch of hats, and that was very successful. And we're always looking for creative ways to involve players in this new age of NIL. It's a different day and more critical than ever.
All right, best comments we've had. Mics sound crystal clear, and sound is much better than the other night. So we're making progress here, Mike Prater.
Nicely done. You were scrambling. If everybody saw behind the scenes, BJ scrambling with all of his fancy equipment here. 10 seconds ago, the mics didn't work. Apparently they do now. Nicely done, BJ.
You and me have to share a mic. That's the only thing, but we'll make that work. Guys, we originally scheduled this show to talk basketball. That was going to be the main focus. We'll still talk basketball, but obviously yesterday, huge news for Boise State athletics. Andy Avalos relieved of his duties. Spencer Danielson takes over as head coach. And again, you guys both support the program financially. You go to the games. Obviously, there's bigger picture NIL talk that we'll get to and all that. But just initially, we'll start with you, Matt. Your thoughts when you got the news yesterday about Andy Avalos.
I think I was surprised like everybody else, that the timing of when it happened. And I don't think it's ever happened during the middle of the season in Boise State history. So I think all of us were a little taken back on the timing. But Jeremiah has made the right decisions, and everything he's done so far has been in the best interest of the community and the university. And I believe in what Jeremiah is doing.
What do you make of it, Travis?
It's on one level sad, that it didn't work out. Andy's a guy that has chose Boise State 3 times. He chose Boise State as a player, he chose Boise State as an assistant coach, and he chose Boise State as a head coach. And, I appreciate that a lot. I know he cared a lot about this university and this football program, and it's sad that it didn't work out in a different way. But I will absolutely echo what Matt said, in that I have 100% trust and confidence in Jeremiah. He knows, he can see all views, knows everything that's going on, and I trust him in making this decision at this time. And the other thing I'll add is this now becomes a great opportunity. It becomes a great opportunity to plan out the future of Boise State football and to re-energize a fan base and a booster base by bringing the right person in.
Mike Prater, you've had a night to sleep on this. We saw your column at BroncoNationNews.com. Folks can go check it out, but I'll pass the baton to you here. Your thoughts the next morning.
Yeah, I just, the timing, and Matt mentioned the timing. I can't stop thinking about the timing. And first of all, he's right, and it's been widely reported that this has never really happened in the middle of a Boise State football season. So just that alone really just kind of, I don't know, it freaks me out a little bit, the timing. 10 hours after a 28-point victory, and I use the word cold-blooded, not because Jeremiah Dickey was cruel with his intentions, but just the move in itself. Think about this, guys. After 10 hours after a 28-point victory, he's the reigning Mountain West Coach of the Year. He's coming off of a 10-win season. Jeremiah Dickey can't stop bragging about record fundraising, record attendance at Boise State football games this year, even Saturday night's crowd. Late crowd, bad opponent, really things aren't going well, and it was a beautiful 34,000-seat crowd, and they were into it for the whole time being, and still in the Mountain West race this year. And he still fires his football coach? Are you kidding me? It's unprecedented, and the timing just kind of really, really sets it up for me, and it's just this most bizarre story that we've ever covered.
What do you guys make of that in terms of the timing, Matt?
Andy's a winner, bottom line. Probably the best linebacker in Boise State history, him or Corey Hall. You see his records when he was linebacker at Boise State. He's won everywhere he's been, Oregon included. We're 4 or 5 plays away from being 8-2, and this isn't even a conversation. So, it's a disappointing thing. I think we all feel sick to our stomach because Andy's a great person. He gave everything he had to the university, and that's what's not fair about college athletics and sports in general.
And that is one thing that I think kind of sucks in all this because, and that's one reason why I think Kellen Moore will never come take this job, why I think Chris Peterson would never come back. Any of these other legends, like Kellen Moore can never do better than 50-3. And Andy Avalos was this legendary player, but now like any alumni reunion or any welcoming back to the blue, he maybe get over it, maybe comes back at some point, but his legacy, I guess, is unfairly, I don't know if tarnish is the right word, but just he's not, everyone thinks of him as this great player and this guy, and now he's a coach that couldn't last 3 seasons and got fired. whether it was close losses, whatever, issues in the locker room, who knows what all led to this, but that part of it does stink for me, that as the person Andy Avalos for his family, they're never going to quite be welcome back, Travis, I think, the way that he would have been if he had just been a player.
Yeah, I get that, but I also say that's life, that's business. Like you've got to, if you're not willing to take risk, then what are the possibilities of the outcomes? And yeah, I mean, I think Andy looked at it and said he could come back to his alma mater and be really successful. That's what he believed would happen. That's what we all believed would happen. So I don't really subscribe to let's be scared to go back and coach at our alma mater. Like let's be willing to believe in ourselves, and great things can come from coaching at your alma mater, right? So I don't know that will impact, other people. I guess we'll see. But on the timing, one difference now is with the portal, right? And we didn't have that in the past. If this was the move they were going to make, waiting till the end of the season, that's a week before the portal opens. And I think that the landscape of college athletics has changed in so many ways, and that's one of the big ways.
And I believe you both, we're steadfast Andy Avalos supporters through and through here, as many of the prominent boosters and folks were that I've talked to, and that's why I had been saying for a while I thought it was unlikely that there would be a change, just because of that part of it, that a lot of people that behind the scenes that you guys talking to Jeremiah and everybody, they have the ear of Jeremiah, like all really liked Andy and really still believe that he could turn this thing around. So why now? I mean, how did we get to this point? We don't know what's going on behind me. Matt, you've been a part of a team in the locker room, all that kind of stuff. I know a football team and 100 guys is much different than a 15-person basketball team. But we see Eric McAllister leaving. There was some rumblings that there was stuff going on behind the scenes with players maybe being a little unhappy. I had reported yesterday there was an incident with Lou Major and Andy, where Lou Major, who was the external relations athletic director for football, Andy, essentially fired him. He left. Now I've heard he's back. So now that Andy's gone, he was able to come back. That's a side story to this. But I do think that led whatever incident happened with Andy and Lou Major. My understanding is that indirectly led to this. So there's some stuff behind the scenes going on. I don't think it was just wins and losses at this point. What do you make, I guess, of the timing and what else was maybe going on and just how we got to this point, Matt?
As a player, talking from a player's perspective, I would never quit on my team and my brothers. I don't care how bad my boss is. I don't care how bad my coaching. I don't care how bad my situation is. I would not quit. I mean, that's the bottom line. Once sports are done and you step into the real world, you suck it up, you persevere through it, and you finish. And we would never even have a locker room conversation 10 or 15 years ago. The era has changed. The portal, the NIL, you want a stern coach, but you got to be soft with the kids or they'll transfer. I mean, it is such a tough situation. I don't envy college coaching right now. It's never been tougher to be a college coach in any program than it is right now.
What do you make of that, Travis?
Yeah, I think it is a hard environment. I think the NIL piece, the transfer portal piece, we've all been around long enough to, I always say winning cures everything. And it's always when the losses start to pile up that these stories leak out about players don't like this or coaches don't like this. But if we were 8-2 right now, none of these stories would be out there. Winning cures all. But in the past, when we went through some of those rough patches, there was time to kind of steady the ship, and it was a lot harder to transfer, and you'd have to sit out a year. And in this environment now where a kid can quit in the middle of the season and then go play somewhere else next year and get some sort of financial compensation for all that, it's a different environment.
Mike, we set the record yesterday for Bronco Nation News right after the firing. We had well over 600 people watching our live show, which was the record. We're, I think, approaching our second highest live viewership ever here. We're well over 300 people and counting and climbing. That must be the good looks of Matt and Travis here. But what do you make of, I mentioned kind of how we got to this point and the timing of this, and what it wasn't just wins and losses, I don't think.
No, and that's the interesting part here, the dynamics of it. Everybody knows, everybody thinks, everybody believes, and it's true that Andy Avalos is this nice guy. He really is a genuine, loyal, wonderful guy. And the fact that over the last 10 days and certainly over the weekend, all these reports coming out, and these guys are right in terms of winning cures everything. We wouldn't be hearing about this, but you're hearing reports. Your report on Lou Major is significant to me. We're hearing reports of player dissatisfaction in the locker room. We're hearing reports of even coaching staff dissatisfaction. I've had several former players, reach out over the last 48 hours saying that locker room really, truly is a mess right now. And I'm not sure how you get there, because Andy Avalos, I don't know if he has a split personality, but in front, I know he doesn't always say the things that fans want to hear when they're losing football games, but he's always been pretty optimistic, and maybe he's too optimistic in a crazy negative world that we live in right now of instant satisfaction. I'm going to get paid to quit on my football team and go somewhere else. That's a hard locker room to keep an eye on it, and I think he lost track of the locker room.
Derek Morales chimes in. We got 300 plus people here waiting for the San Francisco game recap. We'll get to that here. We'll get to that here. More positive
we're
stuff here
talk some hoops.
in a couple of minutes. But let's spin this thing forward first with football, okay? In terms of just NIL and why Eric McAllister really left. Who knows? By the way, Matt, there's some talk on social media that Eric McAllister should come back and finish the season now. That should be Bush Hamden's first thing he should be doing. And maybe there's some street cred in the locker room that Eric McAllister helped get Andy Avalos out of here. Would you welcome back, and should Eric McAllister come back?
I would absolutely not welcome him back. We had a basketball player a few years ago. Most people don't know the report, but left Boise State, was promised this NIL money. The NIL money never came in, and then asked to come back. And it was an amazing player. And what did Leon and the staff do? No, you can't go test the waters and then come back. Once you leave the team, you're done. That's my stance.
I assume you guys agree with that. But I think part of the reason that he left is there was some reports, and I've heard TCU is a school, but there was some NIL opportunities. I'm sure Ashton Genty is getting. I mean, we're foolish to not think he's not getting back channeled talk, or will here shortly. As two guys that donate money to the program. Matt, you obviously have done some NIL deals as well. You both have, but you have, you did the one with Chibuzo Abo when he committed here. And when Chibuzo Abo committed to Boise State, it had a Bauscher Real Estate logo down there on the commitment thing. So you're well involved in this and helping bring athletes to Boise State. But how does Boise State compete on the level of some of these schools? And Boise State was always a program that would find those diamond in the roughs, find those 2-star guys. Well, now if they do that, then those other schools are just going to let Boise State do the homework for a year or two and then come pick them off and offer them money that Boise State can't, compete with. So for both you guys, how do you see this, landscape currently, and what does Boise State do to try to compete so they don't just become a feeder school for some of these bigger schools?
Well, I would say, specifically with football, we are very, very far behind on NIL. Like we're so far behind. We've been lapped 3 times and think we're in first place. So we have a lot to make up specifically on the football side. And whether you agree or don't agree with the environment, it is the environment. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a challenge we're going to continue to battle. And there's no easy solutions, because even from a donor perspective, I mean, this is a conversation I've had, I'm sure Matt has had. It's like, there's so many needs and priorities, right? So even for donors, do you want those funds to go to facilities? Do you want those funds to go to, the new lights and the new speakers and all these things? Do you want it to go to the general program, or do you want it to go to NIL? There's, from a donor's perspective, it's coming out of the same bucket, but from the Boise State perspective, there's a bunch of different buckets that need water.
I bleed blue like everybody at Bronco Nation, and we all sit there and we complain and we gripe and we want great seasons and we want this coach to come in and we want the best players. But ultimately, a lot of it comes down to funds and money. And unless all of us, more grassroots, we don't have the billionaires who are going to write stroke the checks. So unless it's a grassroots approach where, hey, I got $50 to throw at this. I got $100. I got $1,000, and everybody gets behind this wave. We're going to continue to get lapped and lapped and lapped. And let's just take Genty, for example. He's going to get offered a lot of money to leave. Like Tyson Degenhart could have gone to any school in the country, made a lot of money. We don't have to match them dollar for dollar. But if I'm selling Genty on the idea of staying, I'm going to say, hey, we've had all these NFL running backs out of Boise State that have done well. You have one more year to come back and play. Let's get him as much as we humanly can. Save your body a little bit, not go into a conference where it's going to be a beating, because the combine matters so much in football. That's my sales pitch to him. He's such a big name here. And then there's life after sports. A lot of this has to do with life after sports. Our sports career is this big. If I didn't play basketball at Boise State, I'm naive to think my real estate career would be where it is. I owe so much to Boise State.
You guys aren't wrong, but my problem here is twofold. One, the population, and until we're out here at 10 Mile Crossing. It's a beautiful business park, a beautiful complex, and there's a dozen of these around town or whatever it is. but there needs to be about 100 more of these. And this is a growing business community, but also back to your support, or your talk about the grassroots support. And that's really where it starts for me. I wrote a column just the other day that talked about NIL and how far behind Boise State is in the NIL. And 90% of the criticism was, Prater, you're covering up for Andy Avalos. If you think NIL is the problem, you are the problem. And that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. The grassroots people in this town, our mentality is so far behind the scenes that getting $50 from that grassroots guy is like pulling, his grandmother out of the grave. It's almost impossible to do it. And I think until we overcome that theory that college football has changed, these are the rules, and you're going to have to pay for student athletes whether you like it or not. I just think the mentality of this community, which sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, and also just the population growth and the business growth. And when those two come together over the next 5 to 10 years, Boise State will be okay. I just hope that they can survive these next 5 to 10 years.
Talent matters. We have the 6th youngest team in the country. Does any fan care? No. Are we patient? No. We want to win right now, and players and talent is what's going to take it to win. And if we all want to have alligator arms and not support the program, we're going to have mediocre seasons, All
right, last football topic. The favorite thing everyone likes to do is speculate on the next coach. In terms of in the family, out of the family, there's been a lot of different talk about that. I know it's going to be a multi-week process here, but what do you guys want to see in the next head coach?
Oh, I'm going first. Listen, I have never, honestly, I've never felt more confident in how the decision will be made, because I just really trust Jeremiah. I think he's going to bring in a great coach. And it'd be awesome if it's someone in the family. I do think there's value to that, but I also, my view of what I know about Jeremiah and how he thinks, I don't think that's going to be a tiebreaker. Like, I think he's going to bring in the best coach he can bring in. And if that happens to be someone from the family, great, but it's not going to be a requirement on any level, but it's going to be a good outcome. I feel really confident about that.
By the way, Matt, before you give your answer, we have so many comments that I lost it already, but someone was giving you praise here. Matt is dropping truth bomb after truth bomb on here today.
There we go. Monday morning.
Amazing. He's coming in strong.
Yeah. What do you, I know, what do you make of what you want to see? I don't know if you have a name, but just in general, what needs to come of this next hire? And I agree with you, Travis, by the way. I think when this hire leaks or comes out, I have confidence in Jeremiah that I think everyone's going to go, wow, they got him, or wow, that's like, I fully expect us to be fully praising, no questions asked when the hire is made.
And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it's the most important hire in the history of Boise State. I mean, I will. We're at a crossroads, call it, a turning point. I don't care if it's in the family or out the family. I don't think it should be, he has to have Boise State roots. He doesn't. Best man gets the job, who's going to do multiple things. Obviously, they're going to have to recruit, coach, embrace people, be a steward of the community. There's a lot of things. It's a big responsibility, but I'm with Travis. I don't think there could be a better person at the helm to lead the group than Dickey in this pivotal hire.
You guys aren't wrong. And I'm more of the thought of getting outside the family. There's 2 family names that I would throw out there that I would probably be comfortable with going through the process, and that's Jeff Choate. He's got head coaching experience, and Kirby Moore I'm intrigued by, but I want somebody with head coaching experience, usually typically at a high college football level. If I had to choose, I want Jeremiah Dickey to go outside the family. But again, you guys aren't wrong. If they can find the perfect fit from within the family, that's fine. But outside the family, look what Jeremiah Dickey's hire did in terms of rejuvenating this athletic department. When he was hired, everybody went, who? And that's where I might disagree with you, BJ. I mean, we all know college football coaches, and it's probably going to be a name that we've heard of. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a Jeremiah Dickey repeat. He hires somebody, and we go, who? Because it's Jeremiah Dickey's guy. Maybe he's digging deep into the woods in Texas looking for some kind of an assistant coach or some hot assistant coach. He's done this before. He sat on the search committee at the University of Houston when he was there. So I think will probably somebody outside the family, and I think it's going to be a Jeremiah Dickey guy. He was handed Andy Avalos. That didn't work. And Jeremiah Dickey is a very competitive, healthy, ego-driven man, and I don't think he wants to make that same mistake.
But I think that his track record proves that whoever it is, whether it's a who, whether it's I think everyone's confident in him making the hire, right?
And there will be no stone unturned. I bet you he will go 16 hours a day for Bronco Nation to find that person.
He is going to speak at noon today. We'll stream that live on the Bronco Nation News social media channels. Jeremiah Dickey at noon, and then the interim head coach, Spencer Danielson, will talk at 12:30. Bush Handman will still talk at 12:45. We'll see if there's any Maddox Madsen injury updates, any other Ashton Genty updates. We'll see. Looking forward to talking to Spencer. Mike, we've been pretty open about it. Andy, not the easiest guy to deal with the media. It's a 180 with Spencer, and I think for the rest of the season here, fans are we'll see in terms of what he reveals and things, but at least from a conversational standpoint, I'm excited to work with Spencer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody loves Spencer, but everybody kind of loved Andy Avalos, I thought, too. So this is a different dynamic. But yeah, Spencer will be fun to talk to over these next couple of weeks and see how he approaches it. I was able to talk to a couple people that were inside that room yesterday, and his message was, let's win it for the seniors. We got a 2-week window here, guys. And these guys may or may not ever play football again. There's a large group of men who will never play football past the next 2 weeks. And I think his message was to let's dedicate these next 2 weeks to those guys. And I think that's a smart, important message. He's a smart, important, inspiring kind of guy. And I think he's going to dig everything he can out of these next 2 weeks.
Well, let's take a quick 90-second timeout, transition to basketball here. Exciting times, 2-0, heading to Clemson on Sunday. Well, they're heading Friday for the Sunday game. Let's talk hoops. We'll do it in 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. All 375 of you, we appreciate you. Stick around. Back in 90 seconds. All Bronco Nation News broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. Back here live, having fun. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. We are at the Capitol 11 building. Travis, tell us a little bit about this building and Pro Image and the Blue and Orange store and just everything you got cooking.
Yeah, we moved into this building in March. We're excited to be out here. We're involved in a lot of different businesses at Capitol 11. We do real estate, we do private equity, we do venture capital. And so moving into this building puts everything under, one roof, and we're all here together. We talk a lot about one team, one dream. And specifically with Pro Image, obviously we've been operating here in the Valley for many, many years as a locally owned business. And we opened the Blue and Orange store in 2006, which was some pretty good timing. And it's been good. We've got a great team on the Pro Image side, and we actually are up to 24 locations that we have around the country that we operate. And the bulk of those are in Washington. So I've become a big Seahawks fan in addition to being a Boise State fan just because of all the stores up there.
Yeah, you sent me a message. You just opened it when I was up there, I believe, for a Cardinals Mariners, and I went and stopped by your location right there. It was just opening. It was pretty cool, and I think this is like the perfect size room for the BNN permanent studios. I think we may need to see if we can what a monthly rent would cost to get one of these rooms. This would be a pretty cool spot to make the new Bronco Nation News home at some point. But
yeah, it's a great venue for this, so we'll have to do it again.
And before we really get into the diehard basketball talk, Matt, tell us about Bauscher Real Estate. I know the market's interesting time with the interest rates and stuff, but for folks that are looking to buy or sell a home, why should they go with you and your team?
Just like Travis, we go all in, and my team, I get all the credit. My team's amazing. The behind the scenes right now, there's 16 of them in the office working, never complaining. They're all in day and night. And I have such a good support team. And honestly, it's been a difficult year in real estate, and this will be our best year we've ever had sales wise. And I think that's a huge testament to our lifelong clients over the last decade who keep sending their friends and family to us. And, very humbled on the business that it's accumulated to.
Well, both of you guys have verbally agreed to continue your sponsorships into 2024 with Bronco Nation News. So we sincerely appreciate that. And Travis, I know your commitment, you raised it to help me get Mike Prater. And so I want to make that public that some people might not be coming to the Blue and Orange store now, but go support these, all of our sponsors, but in particular, these two guys, local guys that are doing a lot for the community and truly are making broadcasts like this, shows like this, what we're going to try to pull off on Saturday, where I go to the football game in Logan, get to Salt Lake Airport by midnight to take a red eye to Charlotte to be in Clemson for the game on Sunday.
Wow.
It's all that costs money, and it's because of our sponsors and guys like these two right here. So please support Matt when you're looking to buy or sell a home. Please go to the Blue and Orange store when you're looking to buy your Boise State gear, all the different Pro Image locations as well, at the Village, at the mall, and around town. So support them. And before I forget, I want to make sure I thank you both for what you guys are doing and for helping us get Mike. And but yesterday we were at Extra Mile Arena. Fun times, fun game, 2-0 team. And last year, I know Leon joked that I was being negative when I brought it up at the last game, but the last couple of years they've had an early season kind of ugly loss. That can't happen now because even if they lose 4 or 5 games, they got some really tough games they're playing. But last year they lost that first game to South Dakota State. It felt like they were kind of playing catch up, just to get back on track with the computer rankings and everything else. But, you push the Vanguard game aside. But yesterday, a quality team, number 90 team at Ken Palm, what's probably going to be a nice quad 2 game for a team that should win a lot of games. I mean, I know they're not the name, St. Mary's or Gonzaga, but San Francisco is a quality mid-major program, and that was a nice early season win, Matt.
That's a great win, and you saw our 3 returning starters with Degenhart, Max Rice, and obviously Buzo. They stepped up. They each had 15, 17 points. We're the only Mountain West team in the conference that did not lose a starter to the NIL transfer portal madness. So that's a huge testament to the coaching staff and the city here. But an impressive win. I mean, watching those guys, that San Francisco team is going to score a lot of points, and they're going to beat a lot of teams this year.
I'm sorry, we got some funny guy. Somebody wants a Lou Major statue outside of the I'm sorry, that was kind of funny. Somebody also mentioned a nice try out in the studio suggestion. You did kind of blow that off there, Travis.
No, let's make it happen.
What do you make of the team at 2-0, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, what a great win yesterday. That's a good team. They beat a very good team in a preseason scrimmage that we're aware of. I don't know if that's public. USF did, and I was impressed with them yesterday with how long they are and how skilled they are. The defensive pressure, that was a really good team, a really good test. And we played very, very well, and it's a great way to start the season. I think some early observations. I mean, obviously Tyson, phenomenal. His skill and touch around the basket is so elite. I think the most common text message I've got this week was, "What happened to Buzo? He looks like he's added 20 pounds of muscle."
Which he pretty much has.
Yeah, I mean, very impressive, and he looked really good yesterday. And then, one of the things I was looking at yesterday is, we played 10 guys. We've got a lot of depth. Matt was talking about this on Twitter. 5 of those guys are new to playing this year. So it's, we're far from the peak of March right now. Right. And so I don't know what's going to happen at Clemson. I don't know what's going to happen in this, a difficult tournament in Orlando. What I do know is this is going to be a very good team. And one other thing I'll add is what a crowd. I mean, that is the most people that have ever been to a Boise State basketball game in November. That was incredible. So I think what I'm excited about is everybody has kind of caught on that this team is special and it's going to be a special season. And if we're getting that many people on a Sunday afternoon in November, imagine what we're going to be getting in conference season in February.
Yeah, they announced 10,500, and of course it wasn't that much, but it was still 6 or 7. And usually when they're announcing 7 or 8, it's 3 or 4. I mean, you had the third deck there was a lot of people up in that third deck, and so yeah, it was a nice atmosphere in the second half there when they needed to make some stops. I mean, the crowd was getting into it. It was a fun game. A-Town 875 says love the blue and orange store, and Nate Staley says Bausch, I'll be reaching out here soon to look at some property up in McCall. So we're bringing you some business there. So I remember you told me one time, you said, I just need to sell one house and it makes your deal worth it for the year. So there's Nate for 2024. Now we'll start talking 2025. But Mike, you guys, Mike's been a little slower to come onto the basketball scene than we have. He's been, he's written some columns about Leon. We got to get him in the basketball frame of mind here. He doesn't like when I cite the Ken Palm numbers and things. Mike, are you coming around on Leon Rice and this team?
Well, as a true football guy, my first thought is the defensive players on Boise State's football team. Can we get them on Buzo's weight training program?
Yes.
Can we make that the first start of what's going on here? I like what Boise State basketball has done so far. As far as I'm concerned, on the wins and loss, they're 2-0, but they're 4-0 if you ask me. Leon Rice won the offseason in terms of rebuilding his roster. Jeremiah Dickey won the offseason in terms of building momentum, selling tickets, and getting fans in that building. They had the great, big, beautiful confidence builder in terms of the win over Vanguard, where everybody got to go out and feel good and everybody on the bench got to play. And then yesterday they got tested in an early season game that's going to go a long way down the road, and they were able to survive that test. Max Rice, God, I missed watching that guy fly and throw his body around the basketball court. To me, that's beautiful. Maybe that's the old football guy in me. Sorry, Leon, I'm still talking about football when I'm talking about basketball. But Max just doing his thing. And Tyson Degenhart, talking to Bausch here, I didn't go to the game yesterday. I was home writing the column for BNN. I watched it on television. And Tyson was unbelievable yesterday coming right out of the chute. Can we get that guy? Can we change the name to Batman, and can we keep the mask forever? Because that thing looks sweet,
My son
dude.
was loving it.
That thing was sweet. I want to see that forever, even when he's healthy. I need Batman wearing that mask for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I saw him doing a picture with some fans after the game, and they were all doing like the Batman thing, in the picture. It was. I was looking at the stats, and I was telling Leon this after the game, like. You look at that big three, and everyone wants to talk about the depth and all that and how deep they can go. But that three of Buzo, Max, and Tyson, like there's not a lot of teams in the country, let alone the Mountain West, that can roll out a big three like that where you may get 50 points a game out of those three.
And I think Prater alluded to it. They won the transfer portal offseason battle. I mean, you talk about we knew we needed a center. So what do? They go get Omar Stanley out of St. John's. Omar started 18 games. St. John's went into UConn, the national championship, and beat them last year during the season. I mean, he's used that Big East physicality. We saw it last night, and he'll only get better. And then Kansas, obviously Cam Martin coming from Kansas. I mean, Bill Self offered that guy a scholarship. He's been injured, so he got his first game after 900 days. And come January, February, it's going to get scary at the 5 position. And then he goes and gets a great point guard, Big West, amazing point guard, and Roddy, who we'll see get better throughout the year, and Jace. I mean, those two, we got every position pretty covered with a great bench.
Mike, I told you that maybe a column at some point, but the way that the football team and Andy Avalos unfortunately struck out for the most part in the transfer portal. A lot of the guys they brought in didn't really do much. And I know it's a little different in football, but in basketball, the last couple of years, and particularly this year, Leon has identified what they've needed, and he certainly changed the look of this team.
Yeah, and Andy Avalos went into the transfer portal. I don't know what the official number is. It's half dozen or whatever, and I'm still waiting for – there's a couple of guys that have had a couple of nice moments, but in terms of difference makers, over in terms of the Boise State football going into the transfer portal and looking for ways to fix this football program. The basketball program, they might be 100% in terms of what they've done. We'll see how it all develops, but he promised us a super team. I think we had something optical, something different in terms of the visions, but I think what he built was this beautiful roster of depth. They can go 8, 9, maybe even 10 deep now if they had to. I don't know if he got a super team. I don't even know what the definition of a super team is, but he got himself a team that's so much better than it was last year. And obviously the fans are excited. Look what they did yesterday. They showed up in mass, and it's really nice to see in November.
A little disappointed you have to wait a month for another home game pretty much, but if they can win some of these games in this tournament, build the momentum, then when they come back for North Texas, I think December 5th, hopefully that would be a huge crowd. But Travis, we saw San Diego State lose to BYU over the weekend. This league I think is there for the taking. What do you make of this team, this talent compared to the last couple of years? And can this finally be the team that, as everyone says, breaks through in March?
Yeah, I think so. I think what this team really reminds me of is what we've continually seen with San Diego State over the years, which is a lot of length and a lot of quickness and a lot of depth. And that's the big thing. I mean, last year, there was a moment last night yesterday in the game 5 minutes left. It's crunch time. It's a close game. Both Max and Tyson were on the bench. There is zero chance that would have ever happened last year. Those guys in that type of game would have played 39 minutes. So the luxury we have to not have those guys play so many minutes will be huge. The other thing I would say is, it's going to take a little bit of time. Like when new players come in, like I remember last year, I think Buzo, I don't even know if he scored in the first game.
He fouled out in like 6 minutes or something.
Yeah, how horrible game, right? It takes some time, and so last night, like when you look at Cam and Roddy and some of these guys, like I didn't feel like they were very aggressive trying to score, but it's like their first game, first real game, like playing with these teammates and in front of this crowd and things. And so they're all going to have their moments this year. And as always, it's going to be a great conference. I mean, we saw Nevada go in and beat Washington yesterday. Utah State almost beat Bradley. I mean, I think Utah State's rebuilt. It's going to be a great league as always, and I think it'll come down to Boise State and San Diego State, as it has the last few years.
Someone reminded that Marcus Shaver had 2 years after his transfer before he actually started. He had to sit out that year, so it does take a little time for a guy like Roddy to get it going. Matt, big picture, what do you make of the talent level and what the expectations should be for this team?
I'm pumped for the scheduling. I mean, to get in the ESPN tournament in Orlando, the likes of Texas A&M and Butler.
Six of the 8 teams were in the NCAA tournament last year. You had a team in the Final Four in Florida Atlantic. It's a loaded field. Maui will get the headlines, but if it's not Maui, the best preseason tournament is the ESPN Invitational.
And I mean, that we wouldn't even have been in the conversation previously in a tournament like that. And then to be smart and go get a road game at Clemson, I mean, because you're already going to be on the East Coast. I think it's brilliant. Then we got Washington State. We got ranked St. Mary's. I mean, they're going to be tested before Mountain West play. And the good thing is we have the leadership. Cam is, he's 25 years old. We got Max back. We got the leadership and the experience that I think you're going to see a lot of close games till January. And a lot of those games we're going to win in the last 5 minutes. Like you saw last night, they closed it out.
Yeah, and then even like North Texas and even like a Utah Valley, I mean, even their quote-unquote bye games, like yesterday I think it's a home and home, but these other teams they're sprinkling in are decent teams too. I mean, I think they only have one game, Northwestern State or something, where it's literally like a bottom feeder. They're all in the upper half. But Mike, how excited should fans be? They're all bought in. I mean, is it going to live up to the hype this year, you think?
More excited than football. I mean, when we're going back to the 80s here, when Bobby Dye had it going on. 1986, Boise State had fired its football coach. 1992, Boise State fired its football coach. And during that 6 to 8 year window, we know that Boise State basketball just kind of ruled it around here, went to the NCAA tournament with dominating popular teams that really connected with the community. And I think we're kind of sensing that. Unfortunately, at the expense of a football team, it'd be nice if they could both do this. But it's clear now that this community has bought into this basketball program with the crowd that we saw yesterday. And I think it's only going to get bigger and better. It is kind of a bummer that you have to wait a month. The St. Mary's games in Idaho Falls, that's unfortunate, but it's good that you can go out there and spread your brand across the state. I get that mission. I love it. I love that mission and what they're doing there, but high expectations, and it all comes down to that one game in March. If Boise State can just get over the hump and get in that tournament and make a difference.
Yeah, someone said they never thought they'd be so stoked for a road trip to Idaho Falls, but looking for. I did want to ask you about Leon before we get out of here because, there's all the talk of Andy and just the locker room, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, but I've really never met a player that's left here and didn't like Leon or the coaching staff here. Well, you're obviously very close to him, a neighbor of his. But what is it about Leon, I guess, and I guess, there was a lot of criticism he got too, that, early on in the last couple of years. And now that's finally started to turn. I mean, I posted a video of Leon and Andy doing a ticket promotion together the other day. Never in a million years in my 11 years here would all the comments be so one-sided towards the basketball coach. And, he touched, whatever Leon touches, touches the goal, and I think I saw his arm on Andy's shoulder there. Maybe we're good now, and stuff like that, where it's like, you never in a million years would that have been the case. So just now that he's getting his due, I think, what does that mean to you, and what do you think that means to him, I guess? But just your thoughts on Leon.
I can't say enough good things, and it's not the X's and O's that's ultra impressive with Leon, if you ask me. It's he has so much charisma with the media, with the recruits, with the parents of the recruits, with the players. People don't want to transfer. They know how good they have it here. And since he got hired at Boise State and then they went into the Mountain West, 38 coaches have been fired. And he's still standing. And that shows, the long journeyman of now it's paying off. Fans wanted him fired there in kind of midway through he was here. Fire Rice, fire Rice, fire Rice. Now, that's changed. But I I can't say enough about how he brings the players together. You can be stern, but you can also be a player coach as well. And he has a good mixture of that, because that's a tough task.
No question. I mean, I think that, we look back on the Chris Peterson era and say, man, we were so fortunate to have that guy, and he was such a one-of-a-kind coach. And I feel the exact same way about Leon Rice. He's an incredible guy. We actually had the opportunity to have him come to our office and talk to our leadership team about culture, and it was phenomenal. You can see why the players love him and buy in. He knows when to have the heavy hand and when to not have the heavy hand, kind of back to what we were talking about earlier. He's one of the best at understanding that. And I'll say this, like I was at practice on Friday, and I was talking to Coach Eustace, who's helping out, and he said, really just unprompted, he said, Leon is a basketball genius. And here's a guy that has been at been a head coach at 5 D1 programs, a lot of success. And he said, Leon is one of the smartest basketball people that I've ever been around. And then the other interesting comment he made is, he said, I've never seen a staff like this. And what he was talking about was how unified they are, how much they all love coaching together and being around each other, and how they're all on the same page. We gotta enjoy this time, because it's a special time with Leon, with this staff, with this team. It's as good as it can be.
I know, Prater, you've gotten on Leon at times, the urgency and some of the things like that, the famous bringing his dog to work column. I always like bringing that up when we have Mike together. But what do you make of the evolution of Leon Rice here?
Well, again, here I go again, taking it back to football. But let's look at the comparisons here, because I something sparked when you guys were talking about Leon and his staff. Andy Avalos has been here for 2.5, couldn't get through his third season. After his first season, he lost a third to half of his coaching staff. Last year, even after a 10-win season and a championship season, he lost a third to half of his coaching staff. Leon Rice, you guys are right. He's brilliant, but his brilliancy might be in terms of hiring the right people and getting out of the way and not letting the ego make any kind of decisions. Duryea and Burns, and he's kept them for 2, 3, 4 years. Are you kidding me? And not only does he keep them for a couple of years, he brings in Larry Eustace to enhance the entire thing. The exact opposite is happening with that coaching staff and the culture inside that basketball locker room that we saw is going on with the football staff right now. The football staff is divided. Everybody's trying to bail, including coaches themselves. And Leon is just in cruise control over here, because I think his ego allows to hire great, intelligent, beautiful men to do their job. And then he just kind of gets in the way, and then he just becomes a great people person. I'm not trying to suggest that he's not a great X's and O's guy, but I think his strength is the people person stuff and hiring those guys and letting them do their jobs.
Any final thoughts, guys? You can go football, basketball. The mic is yours here. We're at about 45 minutes. We appreciate your time. Great comments, great viewership. I think if you said last year when we did it, and I went back and looked, the graphics were awful. The setup was awful. One of the mics didn't work, and we were passing it back and forth. If you got as many comments as you said you did, I think today is going to be much better for sure. But Matt, we'll kind of just start with you and go down the line here. You can take it any direction you want, if you want to speak to the fans or whatever you want. But it's a interesting times with football. Basketball is doing well, and but still a chance. We didn't mention this. It's crazy. I looked at the scenarios, guys. Two different things can happen for the football team to still play in that championship game. You either need Fresno to lose one game, which isn't as likely. They're playing San Diego State and New Mexico, so that may not happen. But if Fresno loses one and Boise State can win their 2 remaining games, they would win the tiebreaker there over Fresno. The more likely scenarios, you need UNLV to lose both their games. They play San Jose and they play Air Force. If UNLV loses their last 2 games and Boise State wins out, Boise State would have the tiebreaker over Air Force. They would have the tiebreaker over San Jose. And it would be Boise State Fresno rematch in the title game. I think that's a very real possibility. I think Boise State is going to win the last 2 games. I think they're going to come out and play really, really well. Wouldn't surprise me if they win rather easily in both these 2 games. I just think that it's a weight lifted off a lot of these players' shoulders, and they can just play freely these last couple of games. And I expect them to play really well. Still a chance at a championship, and I just wanted to throw that out there. But you can go football, basketball. What your final thoughts, Matt?
Think of this. Think if we win the last 2 games in football and they sneak into the championship game. Imagine if they're Mountain West champions. They're 8-5 going to a bowl game with a chance to go 9-5. Can we think about that for a second?
for one of the worst seasons in the history of Boise State football.
So never quit, never say never. Just because things get tough, there's always a way to get out of it, and that's a prime example. And I'll go with my little conclusion with basketball is get behind these guys. If you don't already have season tickets, get them. And if you're not going to go to the game, give them away to somebody, because it just takes that one time you give your neighbor, your friend, your family member tickets to a game. They will be hooked. They will see the passion. They will see the character of those guys on the team, and that's how we grow Bronco Nation even more.
Travis?
Well, first of all, I just want to really point out the observation that every basketball question you asked Mike Prater, he talked about football. So I really did notice that.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Still come a long way on the basketball.
Yeah.
Leon gives me crap for that every single time.
I'll never forget at the BNN function we had. I know it's right by Leon's house, and he stopped by for the Christmas party or the holiday party last year, and the open seat next to Mike Prater was Leon. That's where Leon Rice sat down. And he said, "Never thought I'd be sitting next to Mike Prater."
It's because I had my wife, and she was charming him at the time. It had nothing to do with me, so I'm coming along. He still calls me into his office, though, and says, "Prater, in basketball, we do watch film like they do in football." And he sits down and tries to educate me and says, "This is how we do it in basketball. Here's a play." And that ignorant comment you made on the radio the other day, this is why we run that play. So he still pulls that crap all the time, and I love it.
That's awesome. Well, my final thoughts will be, I guess, two things. One is I'm so excited for this basketball season. This is the earliest I've ever booked my travel for the Mountain West tournament.
You know where you better be staying at.
I already used BJ's discount code to stay at the Circa. There we go. Thank you, BNN sponsor, Circa Sports. I'm so excited for this season, and we've learned with football that these magical seasons don't come around every year, and so we really need to enjoy them. And it's going to be a magical basketball season. I really believe that. And then the last thing I'll say is, going back to a lot of our conversation today about NIL, about tickets, about going to games, all those things. Like one of my favorite things that Jeremiah talks about is this idea that everything counts, everything matters. And I feel like this athletic department has really embraced that and really believes that. And we see it. Like I was amazed at that football game Saturday night. We're 4-5. We're playing New Mexico. It's 8:00 at night in November. This was every excuse in the book. And in the past, that stadium would have been half empty. And this athletic department is attacking everything. Jeremiah said from the beginning, we're going to be elite in all areas, and that takes time. We're not there yet, but you can see firsthand the things that they're doing to become elite. And I'm really excited about the facility upgrades that are happening, that are in motion, the new capital campaign, all these things. But everything counts, everything matters. I know our athletic department follows that, and it's something that all the fans can embrace. It's back to, if you can go to a game and you can donate $50 and that's what you can do, like that matters. Everything counts, everything matters.
Prater, your final thoughts, and I don't know if you want to touch on what you want to hear, what we think we might hear from Jeremiah Dickey today at noon, but obviously a big press conference coming up today.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to that press conference with Jeremiah, trying to get some details about what happened yesterday and the mindset of that athletic department. You guys, all this keeps coming back to Jeremiah Dickey, and Jeremiah Dickey's doing this wonderful job, and the byproduct of that is everybody's just kind of on pins and needles wondering, is he going to leave? Is he going to leave? Is he going to leave? This one of the unfortunate byproducts of what happened over the weekend is Jeremiah Dickey has to hire another football coach, and that's going to keep him here for another year or two at least. And maybe he was going to stay here for another year or two at least. He's not going to bring in a football coach and not leave with unfinished business. So with the capital campaign, with the North End Zone project, now with a brand new football coach, I really think he's locked in and cemented here for a couple of years. Nothing is a given, and you never quite know. But I can't wait to talk to him today, find out what the details are. One other quick little football note. You mentioned, Fresno State having to lose to San Diego State. We all heard this morning that Brady Hoke had retired from San Diego State effective at the end of the season. He's a player's coach. He's very popular. What if San Diego State gets that bump in momentum that we think we're going to get from Boise State over these next couple of weeks, and all of a sudden they're good enough to beat Fresno State? I think Brady Hoke's news this morning is beneficial for Boise State football as they're looking for Fresno State to lose another game.
Yeah, well, it's been a great time, Travis. Thank you to the crew out here at Capital 11 building, the Pro Image Sports Pod, for letting us hang out. We started a few minutes late, but thank you guys for hanging out. And it was a great show, great comments. And this is the number 2 most viewed show we've ever had at BNN in 2 years. So appreciate both you guys again for your support of BNN. And should be a fun season, interesting next couple of weeks on the football side. Prater, thanks to you for stopping by as well. But appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hey, we'll be back. We'll be back at live at noon. The press conference at noon. You can check on the BNN, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter accounts, and I believe you guys might stream that too. I'm going to talk to Jay Bull to be on KTIK. So KTIK will also stream the Jeremiah Dickey press conference at noon today. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you reach out, BauscherRealEstate.com if you're looking to buy or sell your next home. The Blue and Orange Store. It's what's the website for that? BlueOrangeStore.com.
BlueAndOrangeStore.com.
There you go. Check it out, and they got the all the daily deals and things. I know with the holidays coming up, it's a perfect time to head in and get your Boise State gear for Christmas presents and things like that. So have a great rest of your day. We appreciate all you guys for checking us out. Thanks to everyone again for having us here, and we'll talk to you at noon from the Jeremiah Dickey press conference. Have a great rest of your day. Bronco Nation News live from the Capitol 11 building out here at 10 Mile Crossing in Meridian. BroncoNationNews.com. Bronco Nation News is sponsored by Tommy Alquist and Ball Ventures Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. The Nicolason family and SON management have proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. One of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society, they've also stepped up their support of Boise State athletics with the Taco Bell men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. The Nicolason family and SON management have committed at least $310,000 by 2026. Get more information on their financial support of Boise State athletics and find information on applying to work at Taco Bell at TacoBellWorks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud supporter of Boise State Athletics and the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green and Riley Smith from the football team and Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with the purchase. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford, and make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. The Blue and Orange Store is the perfect spot to get all your gear for your next Bronco game. The Blue and Orange Store has official Nike apparel, including jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and more. Wear what the Broncos wear and get it at the Blue and Orange Store, the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, or get free shipping on a $40 order online at theblueandorangestore.com.